showing a presentation and demonstrating the use of PPT just to do an effective slide deck. So welcome again. I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces. I'm seeing some, not faces, names, because nobody got their camera on, but I'm seeing names. Welcome to everyone. Great. So here we go. I hope you all are hearing me. Are we hearing me right? Yes. Vendra, welcome. Welcome again. Nice to have you with us. So today we want to show a slide deck on Beyond Bullets. I like to call it Beyond Bullets for PowerPoint presentations. And some new features in PowerPoint, a couple new features. Of course, this will take a lot more sessions to do and introduce some other new ideas into the use of PPT. So here we go. I'm just going to share my screen and then take it from there. All right, could I get my screen to share, please? Satya? Okay, one sec, please. Let me get the screen. Great, so here we go. So PPT presentations, I like the shortcut, PowerPoint presentations by me, Shivani Sinari. Now I want to start this whole conversation with 3 ground rules. Ground rule 1 is to step into the screen. Ground rule 2, to remove the distractions. And ground rule 3, to manage the flow. So whenever we have a presentation to do, how are we doing this? How are we stepping into the screen? How are we removing the distractions? How are you managing the flow? Many of us were sitting in PowerPoint presentations over the years, and it's just showing bullets. You have no flow. You're not seeing, something is being lost all the time. The content is not being produced or being showed to you in a way that you could stimulate. Now, there are many different reasons for presentations. It may be a sales pitch. It may be you trying to get an idea across. But one thing you have to understand, all of us have to understand, did we really analyze if you should have done a PowerPoint presentation here? Or could it have just been a conversation that you are having with persons before you go into this presentation mode, where you can just pick up probably the phone and talk to the person or the group of people or send an email? When is the best time really? We have to analyze when should we do a presentation meeting versus a conversational meeting where, we could have just, instead of seeing a slide deck like this, we could have seen just me and yourself and everybody here on the screen, and we talk. So that's a conversation versus a presentation at what I'm doing here. Of course, when we do the slide deck, which is this, we are conversing on the literature too, on the content. So a point then when we say step into the screen, we are part of the conversation. You just can't just send the presentation to you just so. If I'm live, because this is a virtual live conversation, I can't just send it or just talk it just like that. And you're not seeing myself, or you're not seeing also the screen. So again, when we are doing presentations, step into the screen, step into the screen. And that's what we mean, I mean, you're going to be seeing me on the side too. Sometimes you have a lot of different, different video editing, you have different software where you will see the person like as if they're part of the presentation itself, but they're part of the presentation. So I want us to remember that, step into the screen. Now you may be saying, well, if I'm not using any big software and I'm simply using PowerPoint, could I still step into the screen? And yeah, am I not part of the screen? I'm talking into the conversation. I'm talking into the presentation. I'm talking to you. So I am into the screen, step into the screen. Remove the distractions. Now, remove the distractions is a very, very big one. So I'll go to another slide to produce that. And then ground rule 3 is to manage the flow. So whatever presentation that you have, and you may say you're not using PowerPoint, you could be using Google Slides, and you have different types of presentation formats that you could use. Whatever you're using, could we follow this as a strategy? Could we step into the screen? Could we remove the distractions? And could we manage the flow? So these are my 3 ground rules that I constantly look at all the time I'm doing a presentation. Step into the screen. So how do you remove the distraction, which is very important? How do you remove distractions? You firstly have to prepare the environment. So, I need to prepare my environment. I needed to make sure that I could have pulled up my presentation very quickly and not stall for a few seconds. I needed to ensure that I could have shared the screen. Because according to Murphy's Law, whatever will go wrong, right? So prepare the environment. Sometimes some people say, I don't know, I don't know what you will think about it. Sometimes I hear people say, you can't over-prepare. You can't over-prepare. Going into the presentation, and sometimes you have to wing it. Or sometimes when you rehearse too much, you end up not doing what you're supposed to do, or sometimes it just doesn't work. But what do you think? Do you think that preparing the environment, sometimes you just leave it alone and you don't over-prepare? What do you think? Alwyn, what do you think? I'm seeing you, so I'll ask you first. Preparing the environment. Do you believe you have to prepare and go and check and make sure? Like, I mean, the other one is checking the technology.
I would definitely say yes. But again, it will be dependent on what is being presented, right? It may be that you don't have the choice, so you have like a pre-prepared space, let's say like a conference facility, or if you're presenting at a conference or a hotel or something of that nature, the space is already prepared and you may not have much to do. But I agree that some form of preparation should be done, and it depends on what you're presenting and where, what facilities have been presented to you.
And of course, it comes with experience too, right? When we say prepare the environment, you mightn't say going 3 hours before into the space. Might just be a 5-minute, but it's just ensuring that things happen very quickly. So again, as you correctly said, it depends on the content, it depends on the space. Of course, it depends on the individual too, right? Sometimes, could you get back very quickly? That's what I'm trying to say. Could you get back? Sometimes, are you a person that if something is off, that you can't get back, could you handle crisis? Now, especially during presentation, you have to prepare for anything that could happen. I have to prepare that, oh gosh, I hope electricity doesn't go here, but I have a backup plan. If there's no electricity, I'll switch to my phone and I have data, right? So I'll quickly be able to do that. That happened a number of times in presentations for me. So you have to also ensure, especially now that we are doing online presentations, more and more, we are going more and more into online presentations. Yes, you may have the brick and mortar traditional space, but the online environment, the technology is even more important, because if you are seeing people face to face, and let's say, well, the multimedia cut off for whatever reason, or there's no electricity, you could still talk something for a short period of time. Whereas if there's no electricity and power goes and there's no internet here, I can't talk. I need to have a backup for it, right? So that's something that, you know, in training and development and in doing your meetings, that's a very important aspect for me. If this is my business and this is what we do. So prepare the environment. It's important. This helps me to remove distractions. Check the technology. Now, I have a weakness of mine. I want to say it's a weakness, or sometimes it's just my nature. I would have 100 things open up. 100 things open up. And for me to find the presentation, you know, oh my, why am I not finding the presentation? But again, I know that is myself, so I'll quickly be able to get back into the thing. However, think about it. If you are not like that and you are not doing presentation after presentation and talk after talk, and still if you're doing presentation after presentation and talk after talk, it can still happen to us where you something doesn't go according to plan and you can't pivot, you know, my favorite word, you can't get back, you can't get it back. So that's why we're saying check the technology, but it comes back again to yourself. It comes back to how quickly you'll be able to get back the presentation if you can't find it. Planning for problems. And that's what we're talking about. Do you plan for problems? Do you plan for problems? People will say, but why you should plan for problems? Why should plan? You're not supposed to have any problems. But during any presentation, something can always occur, especially in this online meeting, you know, in this online type of meeting environment that we are doing. It happens here. So you have to plan for all the different types of problems, because you have, you see, you firstly have to understand what is the type of presentation that you want to do. Is it a sales pitch? Think about it. You are sitting down with people and you want to sell them something and things keep going wrong. You think people are going to buy from you? No. This is our space now to create the impression. I want you to remember that I know about presentation. So if something goes wrong in my presentation, I didn't have a backup, you're not going to bother with me again. You'll say, but what am I preaching? So prepare the environment, check the technology, and plan for problems. As I said, in my case, this is just me, right? Everybody will get it differently. I am someone that will roll with it and get it back. Now, the reason that I'm like that is because this is what I do. This is me. I do presentations all the time and talks all the time, right? I love what it is about. So you mightn't see me overthinking about the problem. But the reason that I'm not overthinking about the problem is that I know I have a plan that if it does happen, I know almost everything that could happen. But if you still, if you notice, I still have my book. I have a little book here. And I write down things just to remember during this presentation what could occur, right? People may not want to talk. I need to prompt a dialogue. So immediately I wrote down, well, I saw Vindra and I saw Aldwin, so I'll call them up. Then I saw Renelle, so I'm seeing names. So that's how I will prompt a dialogue. That's how I prompt a dialogue, by getting persons to help me then, to assist me with some type of conversation. Because if I don't do that in a presentation, it will just be me alone talking and nothing might happen, you know, nobody's going to say anything. So I have to prompt the dialogue. And you might find, well, prompting a dialogue might be difficult because people might want to talk. By now, it is a totally different way that we are doing it, because this is Lunch and Learn. That, I mean, I know a lot of you all already, and you know me for a long time already. So prompting the dialogue is not difficult. But what about now, if this was for the first time that we're talking? How could I prompt a dialogue during a presentation? Right. So, you know, last night we had this analytic class. And what came to mind, I'm thinking thought I saw someone who said they were coming in. I can't remember. Yeah, so last night, as I was telling you, I have this analytics class with Excel, right, that we did on a Monday. And what is for the first time, right, that I'm seeing some of them, right? I don't know anybody in the class. How could I prompt dialogue with people that I don't know, right? How could you prompt dialogue? And this is something that you have to do. You have to be able to prompt a dialogue, a conversation. Because at the end of the day, whether you're presenting, you're the teacher, you're the facilitator, it's a sales pitch, especially if it's a sales pitch, you want to be able to know that you could get information from people. So how would I prompt a dialogue with people I don't really know? And a lot of us will face this. So my technique will be, I have to ask persons. Now, I don't do it in the lunch and learn, right? But if you're coming into a class with me, definitely I'll want to find out your background, right? Where you work, what do you do? And just by doing that now, I want to bring something that will trigger in your mind. So everybody in the classroom space, I must know what is your expectation, what is your background, what type of job you come in with, what type of experience. So then I will start to talk something about analytics probably in a project that you're working on. I'll talk about it in inventory, whatever area, to start the ball rolling. That's what I'm saying. It is up to us now to prompt the dialogue. And that's what I want you to remember, is up to us to prompt the dialogue. Again, you can't be monotone, and talking in one way all the time. That's why we say you have to understand how to do presentations. And I was sharing that example with you all in about class last night, because what I personally found, people want to use all the different types of software to do X, Y, and Z. But it's what we said in class. This is simply a tool. We have to run the tool, right? So if I don't understand what analytics really is about, I will be teaching people about Excel and Power BI and all of that, but not giving you the connection with analytics. And this is where conversations come in. Prompt a dialogue. At the end of the day, we are running the presentation. This is simply a tool, whatever tool that you're using to do your presentations. Google Slides, as we said, PPT, right? Whatever that you're using, you have many different software to do it. So prompt a dialogue using notes, right? That is to remove distractions. What do I mean by using notes, right? And yes, you have the notes screen, right? Yes, you have the notes screen in PowerPoint to type in your notes. And sometimes when you're presenting, you alone will be able to see the notes, right? And you notes is really, really good. And I know people like Alwyn will love that, the notes part, because when you're presenting, you want to have your material. Now, people will not see that. You alone can see the notes, right? That particular view. Or, sometimes like myself, if I'm sitting down here, I may have my notes book. It's just a habit of mine, I'll use the notebook and I'll have, 5 points here, and that's it. So what you're seeing, I have a little elaboration that what I may not want you to see, meaning in my words, So nothing's wrong with that. Use your notes. Some people say, no, you can't do that. You're watching then you have to remember eye contact and all of that. So use your notes. Rehearsing away distractions. That's what we say. Sometimes you have to just rehearse. Sometimes you just have to rehearse. What do? Do you do that? Vindra, I'm seeing you here, right? Vindra, do you rehearse presentations before? What do you think? Is that something you would do? Rehearse your presentations?
It depends. If it's a presentation or people are familiar with, I may not always rehearse it. But if it's something definitely new, is new people, or we have a different objective, I would rehearse it depending on what it is we need to get done.
Rehearse away the distractions. Right. Okay. Real, what you do it too? I'm seeing Real here. Linons, yeah. Okay. Joy, what do you think? Would you? Joy?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, I would rehearse, something according to what you're doing, especially if you're not too familiar with the topic. So yes, I would rehearse as well sometimes.
I guess it's the amount of time. How much time would you really spend to rehearse? That's what I'm trying to get at. Would you spend a lot of time in rehearsal? Next point is to be authentic. What do we mean by that? And I know Alwyn could share something with that. Being authentic. Is that?
Well, I think for, at least for me, it's about being truthful to what is being shared, the content that is being shared, being truthful to your audience, being truthful to yourself, not trying to make what you're delivering, the content that you're delivering, appear to be more than what it is. And I've seen some instances where people go through the trouble of embellishing material and not trying to actually communicate what they want to communicate. So they dance around the topic, they find a million other things to talk about, but very little focus goes into the material itself and what it means to the audience and what it means to the objective, like what you're trying to communicate or deliver. So just, I would say in my own words, just staying on target, staying on point, and being true to your audience defines authenticity. Sorry.
And you know, something that I will do, that if I don't believe, like, especially if it's something that I have to teach somebody, right? And I don't believe in that training product at all, it will show, right? It will show. You can't hide it. You can't hide it. So what I'm trying to say, don't do it. If you don't believe in what you are doing, don't do it. It's going to show. I guess some people may be better at it than you and me in the sense that they may be able to hide it, but we can't hide it. I mean, it will show that we don't believe in it. So I will never present on something that I think is not going to help the individual in their learning and development process. That's what I'm trying to get at, because that's who I am. I believe in learning and development. So if I don't find PowerPoint could help you, I'm not going to talk it at all. If I don't find Google Slides good, if I don't find Excel, whatever product I'm preaching, PMP, whatever it is I'm doing. So being authentic, it really depends for me on the content. So number one, I will always be authentic when I'm doing a presentation because it's the content that I believe in. So, you know, sometimes, as you said, people may try to embellish something. And it will come across that they really don't, they don't really believe in this, you know, but they have to do it, especially like in sales, you know, in sales for different products. And that's why the term is very important. And then working confidently with your slides. So remember, you created the slides, you know, so you have to be very confident as you move from slide to slide, working confident with your slides. And handling Q&A. Handling Q&A. How do you handle questions and answers? So sometimes if we do these lunch and learn, and you know, I have a Facebook Live or LinkedIn Live, you know, I must have somebody to give me the questions, right, to be able to answer, because I can't see all the platforms. Right now, I'm not doing it. Not all the time I do it that way. I mean, it might just be on the Zoom call here so that I will be able to handle any question that comes. So in terms of the chat, or you open your mic. So handling Q&A is a very important point. I have been in presentations where I saw not all the questions were being answered and people felt, you know, it wasn't a good way at all, of course. So even if you cannot answer all the questions, you tell persons, please type it in the chat and the email will be sent to you. Now, if you say that, you have to do it. So handling Q&A. Now, when continuing to remove distractions, right? And this is what we mean by distractions. Keeping control of your story, preparing for different contexts, handing out handouts. I may have to hand out a handout before, give out a handout before, presenting without being present. What do you think about that? Presenting without being present. Sometimes you can send people a video Now you will have different types of presentations, and I'll talk about it in another slide, which is known as flipping your presentation, where I could integrate certain aspects where I'm not here, I'm not live, that is, and you view certain things and then you come and we do follow-ups after. That's asynchronous and synchronous ways of doing your presentation. So people do use it in meetings quite a lot, that people could come prepared before. So these are things that we need to remove. These are distractions if you cannot control your story. Now, this is a story that I am telling. A big part of doing proper presentations is to create a storyboard, right? And that is another entire session for us to do, how to create a proper storyboard. So I'm just introducing it here in the beginning a little bit. Keeping control of your story, preparing for different contexts, handing out handouts, presenting without being present. Sending your notes page. Now, not your slides. Now, I send slides, right, in my presentations here. But it is often said from a presentation point, you should not send your slides. You should send your notes page. I think it's because of what intellectual property or something, that you don't send all the information to everyone, and you do like what is known as a summary of the content for people. Because what people are coming to, they're coming to the virtual live session with you, and you simply now don't send recordings, you send the notes page, which is a summary of what you have done. So I've been again in many presentations, and that's how they do it. They send notes page to people. I don't really do that, right? I send the entire presentation. But again, you have to know what the content is and what the content is, because one will say, if I send all my class materials to people, then a lot of people wouldn't want to come again because they'll share it to their friend and their family and all of that. However, I look at things differently in terms of learning, right? Because there's always something more to learn, right? That's just how I am. So I will send all the presentations. So removing distractions. Sending your notes page, not your slides, producing an online presentation. As I'm speaking this, I'm remembering a presentation that someone did. I didn't share the presentation. And what they did, they really did do the notes page. Actually, it was a customer service. It was a customer service. Really good. The presenter was from Canada. Excellent. And they did not share. I mean, that was the example that comes to mind, right? They did not share the PowerPoint presentation. They shared notes page, which was really a summary of it. Alwyn, what do you think about that point? Sharing your notes page.
Yeah, I've never actually done that. I think I just send the slides.
Yeah.
But
you
I could
understand.
actually, yeah, but I can't see in some instances where the notes page may be applicable. But I've never actually seen it done in practice, to be honest.
They're sending a notes page.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, the company that I saw it with, well, I wouldn't tell you all, but it was a kind of high-end company. I guess they didn't want to do it, and they wanted people now. Because I personally find just share the presentation. I guess it's just what you put on the information.
Yeah.
That's what you put. Flip your online presentation. I love to use this word. This is a kind of newish technique, right? We will call it in education, flipping your classroom. Flipping your classroom. Now, I use this example. When it comes to presenting information, you want your audience to absorb. No one has more experience than today's teachers. So take a page from their playbook and try flipping your presentations. That was a hyperlink, so I'll go to that site. To make the most of the time you have with your audience. With the right online presentation software, you can record and securely share video of you giving your presentation before the scheduled call, allowing extended time for open discussions and productive conversations during the live call. So, I mean, this is a plan a while for me, how I want to do these sessions, right? Which is I do a video of myself, I talk the topics, and then you come for conversations. You come for conversations on the particular topic. So it's a lunch and learn, but a lunch and learn where we flip in the presentation. So you're going to get, it wouldn't be a very long presentation that I'll send for you before. So when people register, they get this 15 minutes, they get it, and you look at it, then you come into it, and I do conversations about it. Flip in your presentation. So it is a method that you can use, and I want you to use the word flip in your online presentation. Flip the online presentation where you have certain, now we will call it, originally it was brick and mortar, brick and mortar and the online environment. So you have persons come in for a few face-to-face sessions, and then you have people now coming more into the online session. However, now we're even changing it up, which is flipping your online presentation, where it is not only virtual live, because right now, this is what you and I are doing. We are doing virtual live, but you didn't see anything that I was going to talk about. So now, as I go slide to slide, I am probing you to have a conversation with me and to talk a little bit. Now, the reason that I do it this way is that this is a whole lunch and learn community that we are building, and now we kind of build it, and you have people that they will do it. They will actually look at the recording before a presentation at 10 to 15, and then you come for more information in the lunch and learn, which is virtual live. What do you think about that? Vintra, what do you think? You've been with us a while. What do you think?
It's a new idea to me. I like the idea, because you're setting all the information before, you allow them to go through it, digest it, and then you come and you do your Q&A, your questions. It should just enrich the experience once you have the time.
To
and the
go through it
facilities to do
before.
it. Yes,
To go
yes.
through it before.
Because
So
people
it
will
can't
come with their
be.
questions. Yes.
So it can't be that I send it today for tomorrow for you. What we're
Right.
trying to say, it has to be at least a 5 to 7 days. Now, it has to be planned in different ways. So if my lunch and learn is, I have a whole month series, obviously I may send you one, everything before. You don't have to send it week to week, because everything is planned. And that's why we say plan. So flip in your presentations. I want to just hyperlink this so that when you get this recording, you will go to it for yourself. I thought it was a nice, really, really nice thing to see, right? Which is, well, Panopto, this is actually a software, right? I use this software at times, so I thought it was pretty good. Make meetings more interactive simply by changing the format. Now look at it. There are too many presentations being made in today's meetings, and you all will agree, I am sure. So that's not something we say lightly. We make video software for recording and sharing online presentations. So this is the software that allows you to do it, that I have used. There are many, many others. I have many different platforms that I use. So the Harvard Business Review has spent the summer looking into the question of whether meetings should prioritize presentations or conversations. So how should we do our meeting here should it be a presentation or should it be a conversation? Now, what you realize, I am doing both. I'm showing you the presentation, but I'm also conversing, and I'm using people that I know to probe the conversation, right? Or, another method would have been me asking questions before. Where did you work? What do you do? And then I start to bring it up in a topic to trigger something in your mind, which I do at times. So flip in your online presentation. It can be a method, especially if you are trying, I found, in sales, because I do a lot of people who do sales presentations, and they want to look at different ways. So they say, well, let's try this way. And they try the way where you're sending it to the persons before. So it might be you're sending to CEOs before in your organization or the business development unit. They look at it and then they come with the questions. So it's really flipping your online presentation. However, you have to know if people will ask you questions, right? So that's why we say handle your Q&A. So what I'm trying to get at, Vindra, the technique is excellent. Flipping your online presentation. Flipping your online presentation, but also using the technique of doing better Q&A. Now, if you cannot do good Q&A as yet, you have to rehearse it, as you say, and practice it. take a little time to do this one, right? Take a little time to do this, rehearse the Q&A. Know that is where you have to know your content really, really good. That is where you have to be very authentic. That's what we're saying. So again, it's a new trend. It's not really a new trend. I've used it for a good while now, but it's newish. It's newish, for lack of a better word. So flipping your online presentation. Food for thought. Alwyn, I see you listening. What do you think? Okay, somebody's
Yeah,
saying
no,
they're not seeing anything different if you clicked on flipping your presentation. What do you mean, Ryan? Ryan, you're not hearing you, meaning you're not seeing the screen. When I clicked on it, you're not seeing it.
No, nothing changed.
Alwyn, you're not seeing it.
So
The
I'm
hyperlink.
just seeing, I'm just still seeing your presentation.
Okay, because I have to stop sharing probably. Okay, yes, sorry, what you were telling me, Alwyn?
Well, no, I agree with that approach. I mean, I've used it, again, everything is contextual. So I've used it in the past where we have sent out information ahead of time.
Mhm.
But again, it depends on the volume of information and the nature of the meeting or the session, where what we have done is we've analyzed information, presented the results, and we've sent it out to team members to take a look at, and then we come together to probably discuss that content with the aim of making a decision or a determination about what was sent out previously. So I've seen it, and we've done it, but it's not very common. As you said, it's
Mhm.
fairly new, and more people are actually getting into it.
Right, so you have to know how to do it and practice it with good Q&A and using the online presentation. Now, you and I always talk about this, it's culture too of people, right? The culture and what they're willing to accept and what they're willing to understand. So this is why I will always start any conversation by saying, you want to use technology, you want to use concepts, you want to use formats, perfect, great. But sometimes you have to, do small little parts until it gets into what you want. So my idea for the luncheon, and that's how I wanted to do it, right? But then I said, next thing people don't come to it. Next thing I don't get the amount of people and I lose people. Because remember, that was during COVID and not everybody, they would have preferred this type of talk. So that's how I started it. And then I'm pivoting into different ways of doing it. So I taken it in small pieces, small doses, as they say. So you're just not putting everything on everybody. That's what we're trying to see. And I'm sure you agree. Great. So next point, so flipping your online presentation. Flipping your online presentation. Right. Well, what I realized, when you click on flipping your presentations in the Zoom, it would not share it. It's not sharing it. I have to turn something on. But definitely when you get it, you'll be able to look at it. So flipping your presentations is an entire web page on Panotalk. That is a software that you could look at. Continuing, look at the time already. So slide layout. Now we have to do a lot more work on this. Now I'm going into the PowerPoint shortly just to show you a few concepts because I realized so much we wanted to talk about. Slide layout. Everybody have to create slides. Right? And you have to look at the content of it, which is creating the key point slide layout, creating the explanation slide layout, creating the detailed slide layout, adding an optional navigation bar, which I like, and adding an automated animation. So these are slide layouts. So we have to, each one we can discuss in so much more detail. Of course, this is not a 1-hour thing, right? Creating the key point slide. What are the key points? And you realize I have a key point slide. Then of course I went into a little explanation, creating the detailed slide. And what is this? Adding the optional navigation bar. Now, what I could have done, right? So let me get, now I did it here just as a quick example to show. Now, if I click on add an automated animation, if I just click on it, it's a hyperlink, right? What I have done is that it will take me to the previous slide. So I'm just clicking on it and it takes me to the previous slide. So that is what you can design your navigation bar to look like. Now you have to design it, and then bam, when you click on one area, it takes you to another point. It takes you, that is beyond bullets. That's just you adding an optional navigation bar. That's when you're creating your entire system properly there. So let me, and then I want to go into the PowerPoint. Now, use of AI in PPT. Checking out the designer feature. I wonder if you heard about that. Now, that is really good stuff. Checking out the designer feature. We do not need to think about colors and design too much anymore. It is done automatically for us. Do you like the approach of my slides? Did you like the content? Did you like, not the content, the words, the prettiness, so to speak, right? Because keeping control of your story, look, it's as if it's telling a storyboard here, right? Removing distractions. What do you think? Alwyn? Flipping your presentation, slide layout. You'll think that I went and real take time to look for all these things. And I'm not lying. I basically, once, of course, if you have to have the content, you have to know your material. You have everything in PowerPoint. It literally took me probably seconds to do it. Let me show you all how to do it. Slideshow. I keep coming out of it. And slideshow, right? So you see, no, you're not seeing the screen again. Let me share. Share. Share screen. Great. So I'm no longer, you see my screen, right, Joy?
Yes.
Right. So, I have all the slides, and all I did was click on each slide and go now to design. Yeah, design, the menu design, and I hit good old designer. Now, when you click now, designer is a new feature. It's not in the older versions of PowerPoint. It's in 365, right? 365 is great in Excel, wonderful things. So I'm clicking on designer and it's generating designer themes for me. It took the words now and it's giving me ideas. So I say, all right, PowerPoint presentations, fishes, that relevant? Okay, let me leave it like that. Just click and a change in individual ones. That's what I tried to do. Good. I took the next one, delivering your presentation. Now, I did not have no colors or anything. I had nothing. All I had was bullets, right? All I had, it was bullets. And then, look, everything here is coming up. It took the words. And, before now, Alwyn, you had to do what? You had to go put in the box, draw up the thing, right? Or probably look for a slide layout. You knew about this? You ever saw it before, the designer?
I've seen it not in PowerPoint, but I've seen it in other applications. So it's good to see that it made it over to the Microsoft Suite.
Yeah. Designer is like, whoa. Joy, have you ever the designer one?
No, I've never used it. Yeah, I realize it's and it seems easy, it makes your work easier.
You don't. So I went to a presentation. I wouldn't tell you all because where the presentation was. And I looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to call this person up and tell him, hey, I don't know if your staff don't know about the 365 or they don't know about designer, but they need to know. Because it was a major position. And remember, I know, you know. So when we sit down in presentations and we see in this kind of ugly looking presentation, we're like, what? These people don't know, they don't know. So it's good stuff. And this is the designer feature, right? This is what I want you to note. It is a designer feature. You could take a little more time, go through it. I mean, I took 10 seconds to do it, bam, to show it to you all. Well, no, it wasn't 10 seconds, man. It might be about 1 minute. 1 minute. delivering. Look, delivering your presentations. It's coming up. All I did again was to click on the menu design, go to designer. So now you could do your presentations, upload it into LinkedIn. You'll see me all talking all kind of thing now with these videos, with these presentations. You don't, well, and also now you don't have to, these are AI tools that they're putting into AI into these tools, right? Now the graphic design, when you look at the graphic design, you don't have to hire a graphic person anymore. You know, it is, I could do it and I'm not a graphic person. That's what I'm trying to say. However, this is just for a period of time because again, things will become obsolete and you know, you want newer things. So still use our upgrades, right? Garbage in, garbage out, right? So delivering your presentation, removing distractions. So that's what I did. This is simply going to designer. That's what I wanted you all to note with this part. Now, the slide layout is also something I wanted to show. How do you do it? Right, the slide layout with a navigation bar. So I could build, so you see preparing the environment. I am going to highlight this. And I'm going to insert, is it? Yes, I have to look at insert on the menu. So it's called the navigation bar. So I go to insert and I look for the word action. Insert action. And it's saying hyperlink. Hyperlink to what? So preparing the environment, I want to go to the last slide view. First slide. Now, I could have had, what I could have also done is actually named this section 1, section 2, section 3, but I'm leaving it for now like this, and I say insert last slide. Last slide, click OK. Good. And when I go, so this is what? This is now a hyperlink. And I did it by doing an action. But it will not work here. I have to go to view and what? Well, not view, slideshow from current slide. Here it is. I'm clicking now, everybody, on preparing the environment, and it takes me to the slide. So you can build, that was just an example of clicking on using a hyperlink really. But what I'm trying to show folks, you can now create your navigation bar, right? Where you could have designed your first slide and click on slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, bam, and it goes to everything. So it's telling a story. It's a story. It gives you a better layout without people having to only see bullet points. Great. So what are the two? These are the two main features. I'm looking at the time and we could continue and continue and continue because there's so much to learn. But what are your key takeaways for this presentation? What are your key takeaways? Let me just bring back up my presentation. What are your key takeaways for the presentation? Anyone?
I love the designer option that you showed us there. I think I saw the button before in PowerPoint, but I never used it, and it looks very powerful for you to get
Powerful
just
stuff.
from your basic points to incorporate graphics quickly. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, it is very, very, very very user friendly, very easy to do. Yeah, anyone again, your key takeaways? Yeah, well, Vindra said that. Joy, what were your key takeaways?
Yes, my key takeaway is that same feature, you know, that new designer feature. I really want to, you know, after
Play around with it.
Yes, I will try with it. Yes. So thanks for teaching me that.
Rebecca, anything? Anything you want to contribute here?
Thank you for inviting me to this presentation. I'm on the road, but I was able to grasp that information on the designer tool. I never knew about that. Perhaps I have an old version of PowerPoint though.
Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure if you didn't see it.
That there are so many new things available that we can use to improve what we're doing. Because I teach, and I also work in an area where there are graphic personnel, and they come under a lot of criticism at times. So I know it's because there are things out there that people can use and do what they want to do easily. You know,
Easily.
so yes. I didn't quite get the part where you say that you don't need a graphics person again, because I didn't just get that part because I just drove up at that point. When you
No,
said that.
meaning it's so easy. You have all these nice new AI tools. No, don't tell. Yeah, but if you, I mean, if there's anybody a graphic artist, don't quarrel with me. But
No,
what we're
no.
saying, it is so. I know, and you know, I'm glad you brought it up too, Rebecca, because at the end of the day, now what we have to remember, some jobs could become obsolete very easily. So it's up to us now to keep learning and retooling. Huh?
Yes, I agree.
So, for example, in facilities management, facilities management, what I have shown is that there is a need for analytical skills within the FM industry because many persons will say certain things are not needed. So I am retooling and using different skills now in my same industry in facilities management. So there are certain tools that you could use in graphics. That's what I'm trying to say. So the point is keep retooling, and you could retool for your same industry and learn new tools and learning new tools, which is out there. So what are the key takeaways for today's presentation, really? And you know, you'll always hear me saying it, garbage in, garbage out. You have to first know the content, know what you want, engage your people, right? Engage your audience. I hope the big takeaway for you would have been one of the big takeaways is flipping your online presentation. Flipping your online presentation where you do not have to do everything virtually live, but you use now the Q&A session. People come in, but you can't just say, oh, what you learned from the presentation, you know, because nobody can say anything. So you have to find ways now to stimulate the conversation as a Q&A by sending the presentation before, and then you come and you do your Q&A. Now, doing Q&A is a whole session in itself to show you how to do a good Q&A, but it can be done. Of course, it can be done. So folks, this is what this presentation is about. You know, as we go, I hope that you find it very, very interesting. There's a lot more to learn with PPT, with PowerPoint, doing presentations and telling a story. Because what I want us to learn is that how to create a proper storyboard template, how to look at it and how to, that's how you manage your flow. You manage your flow by telling a story, Any questions, anyone? Right, if anybody has been checking out ChatGPT, yes, where we're going to be out of a job in a few years, it seems. Christian, that I think the chat, they said that was only accurate information up until September 2022 or something, you know, that the information that they built in. So it still have to, you know, it was a joke when I saw it. Good. Right, can run and what somebody else is saying. Indra, I love the navigation tips too, very useful. Can run an interactive Q&A session from a navigation slide. Very, very true. Very, very, very true. So any questions, anyone? No questions? So I wish to say thanks to everyone for again being part of our Lunch and Learn series. We're going to do more presentations with the PowerPoint showing a couple things. And of course, we have Power BI presentation coming up shortly too. I know people will be interested in that. But I look forward to seeing you in some of the training sessions, the analytics course that we have. It's great sessions. So thanks again, everybody. Until we meet, stay in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.